Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hearts Wide Open, the space for men to open up and be their authentic selves. This is Dennis, and this week I'm without Surush. He's on holidays. It is the holiday season. And I'm also currently on a trip. That's why we are serving you a conversation that we have recorded a while back on another podcast, and more about that in a bit. But first, let me say sorry in case the sound quality isn't as good as the other times. Because, yeah, as I'm recording this, I'm actually visiting a friend in Belgium, and we recorded the conversation we're going to share with you this time virtually. So, yeah, as you could already hear, it's a bit of a different format this week. I was interviewed by my, how he calls it, long lost friend Musa on his Being Borderless podcast. And yeah, this conversation happened a few weeks ago when we had just launched Hearts Wide Open. If you want to support us in our cause, do leave us 5 stars here on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you like the episode, feel free to also listen to older episodes and or share Hearts Wide Open with other fellow men who would like our content or who could benefit from it. Also, make sure to follow Hearts Wide Open and the Being Borderless podcast on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. I'll add the links in the episode description. And lastly, do let us know what you think about this podcast and this format specifically. We're thinking about having guests in the future and mixing it up a little bit more, try new things. So there's a poll or a question below the episode on Spotify. Feel free to send us your feedback by responding to that, or just send it to us via Instagram or the channels where you. That's it from me so far. I hope you enjoy this episode. Have fun.
Hello, everyone. This is the Being Borderless Podcast with Musa. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today, I'm very happy to introduce a long-lost friend. We recently got connected again. We met, I think, the first time in 2016. We kind of knew of each other because we were in the same student organization called Isaac. And he is and was at the time based in the Netherlands. He's originally from Iran. Incredibly incredible person, as well as I could say it. Even when we met there during those in 2016 years ago, I found him to be quite introspective, quite passionate about youth leadership, mentoring, coaching, development of people, just for the sake of it. And now recently we got connected because he has recently launched his own podcast, actually today, Hearts Wide Open, which takes an intimate look at men's health and men's mental health, more specifically. So congratulations on that, Dennis. Welcome to the podcast. And how are you?
Yeah, thank you so much for this lovely intro. Makes me feel really appreciated and great. And I'm super happy to be here. It's been a while. I think it's been really great reconnecting with you over the past weeks. Indeed, because we launched our podcast Hearts Wide Open today, and you were a tremendous help in this process as well with all your tips and tricks about podcasting. Because for us, it's the first time, obviously. So maybe I can introduce myself real quick.
Yeah.
My name is Dennis. I'm a German Iranian. So my dad is from Iran. My mom is from Germany. I was actually born and raised in Germany, but then I went to spend a year in Iran. I was able to work for the same organization that I also used to work for in the Netherlands and that you also worked for. And that's how we met. I did a bunch of different things in my career, studied law, went into business development, designed learning journeys underway, became a coach. Now I'm a marketeer and podcaster. So yeah, I think I was searching for what I actually want to do in life for a long time. One thing I was always passionate about was indeed to empower others, inspire others to grow, question the status quo, do things a bit differently. So yeah, that's what I think that about.
That's amazing. I think that kind of, thank you for that short and sweet introduction. I think for me to, it kind of goes well with my question, which I'm usually asking guests initially, which is, so especially for you being, born to parents of two different cultures, how was that growing up, and how do you think though that kind of the differences between the two cultures shaped you into who you are today?
Yeah, that's actually a super interesting question. Yeah, I think it definitely shaped me to who I am today. So yeah, but let me start from the beginning. So as a child, I think I didn't really see the difference that much, at least until I was, let's say, 8, 9 years old. Because yeah, we would just I grew up in Germany, and then every year we would go to Iran for holidays for 2 to 4 weeks. And I'd see my family there, and I'd play with my cousins. Would be in the pool. We'll have fun, like have good food, spend time with the family. And at the time, I didn't really feel any different than with my friends that I had in Germany, let's say. But then growing up more and more, I could feel more of these like cultural differences, but also mainly difference in opportunities that we had access to. So just because I was born in Germany with a German passport, I had all these different organizations I could join, for example, during my studies, or all these different things I could do when I was still in school. So many opportunities. I could do anything I wanted to. And then my cousin, who is my best friend in Iran still, who's like 1 year older than me, we basically grew up together as kids. But then at some point I realized, okay, he has way less access to these type of opportunities. Also just financially, because the country's been in economic struggle ever since I can think back. And so this is one side of it, and then the other side of it is that I think culturally as well, in the recent past, I realized I reflected a bit more on this, and I realized that I really, like, Iran was this type of haven in my head. Like in Germany, people are at least in my like environment, people were a bit more cold, a bit more like distant, let's say. And then when I was in Iran, there was so much love. Like our whole family would pick us up from the airport. There was like my grandma gave the best, juiciest kisses on our cheeks, and there was just so much love, and like all these family gatherings and celebrations. And like for me, I always felt like that charged me full of love for the rest of the year. And then when I got back to Germany, like it was normally raining when the plane was landing. I was like back to depression time or something like that. So yeah, maybe not the healthiest way of defining this or like coping with this, because I grew up in Germany. I spent most of my time there, and now I'm like trying to redefine my relationship with it a bit. Maybe also that was one of the reasons why I left to live in the Netherlands. But in general, the way it shaped me, I think I'm really, really open to different cultures and people from different walks of life, and I try not to judge anyone based on where they're from or what they do. And this has opened up a lot of doors as well for me, because I just try to look at the person and not at the background or their CV, let's say, or their CV of life.
That's amazing, and I really like thank you for sharing that, because I really like these 2 points. I think one is having access and pretty much the privilege and understanding your privilege, and then I think I recently started realizing that if you have that privilege, it's not bad, but you need to know how to use it for the betterment of yourself and of the people around you. And the second thing that I would like to focus on a bit, because I went through it as well, like I was born in Pakistan, but I'm also Canadian and I lived in Canada, is like redefining your relationship with that country that you're holding a passport to, like a Western country, because Pakistan and Canada is also, it was the same thing that we would be going back almost every other summer. And then it's, I would say Pakistan and Iran has a much more similar culture than Pakistan and Canada. So it's and also the countries are economically quite on the same front right now, sadly or not sadly, but uh, but the people are still much more happier. They share more. They're more loving. Maybe because it's also just Eastern culture in general. But for me, it was a journey to accept Canada as my own country. Well, the difference is that I was not born in Canada, so kind of unlearning my relationship in a way with Pakistan that I had, because when we were growing up, we kind of learned a lot of nationalism. So understanding that you can still love your country without being nationalistic for it, and you can still work towards it in a more healthy way. So how is that going for you, like redefining this relationship with Germany?
Yeah, so I always like, yeah, so I'm actually really thankful to my dad because he kind of nurtured that connection to Iran as well, so that we went back every year. We would really get to know the culture, have a close bond with our family there. Um, Let me just lost my train of thoughts.
No problem.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so in my head, was like, it's like loving your mom and your dad. I think I love both of them for different things and differently, but I love them both the same. Like I cannot choose between my mom or dad, let's say. So this is like a really difficult choice to make.
Of course.
Like never choose one country to be mine, like Iran or Germany. And so as I was spending most of my time in Germany, I felt like I need to be an ambassador for Iran to keep that side up, to keep it equal. I need to like feel more Iranian, like be more involved with that culture. Like, even though I knew so little about it at the time growing up. So that was a bit hard. And I think I always neglected this, like the German side of it. Like I was trying not to like be super German, let's say, but because I couldn't be super Iranian either. So I was kind of in the middle, kind of neutral, being ambassador for both sides, like most of the time for Iran and Germany. But then when I was in Iran, also for Germany. Because like, yeah, imagine if I'm in Iran, my cousins call me the German cousin. When I'm in school, I'm the Iranian guy friend. So it was like not really going into any of them fully. And I think then coping with that, as soon as I could after high school, I went to Canada for a year actually to do like this work and travel experience.
Oh, wow.
Get some experience abroad in a third country. Stand on my own feet, finance my own life for the first time. And then after I returned to Germany from that, I also decided, okay, now my English has gotten much better. So, and I want to keep getting to know other people from other cultures. I want to study in English. So I decided to move to the Netherlands, and then like to a completely different country. And then from afar, like from the Netherlands, like being away from both countries, I think I was able to then start developing my relationship of being German as well. Because I was like, it's close by, but I'm not in Germany, so I could like in the beginning I was like taking on a lot of German concepts like infrastructure, for example, or like I don't know, they say Germans live to work, and in the Netherlands people work to live, so like enjoying life more, let's say, than Germans in Germany. I don't know, like this really silly idea. But like recently I've gotten like felt more peace with also being German, and I've started seeing in the past years like all the positive things about being German. And I think I can now more embrace this country, and like even to the point where I was entertaining the thought of moving back to Germany one day. So I don't know, like it's still a journey. Like I'm still in it, let's say.
Yeah, I've 100% agree with you. And I think this point of being in a third country, it kind of gives you this zoomed out perspective. Of course, if you want to work on that perspective, because it's very similar. It was similar for me in Canada, and when I saw people like from Pakistan who were born in Canada, as a third culture kid, you're always in between, like, should I be this or should I be that? Because when I would go to Pakistan, people are like, oh yeah, but you're not Pakistani anymore. You're like Canadian. And then when you're in Canada, you're like, oh, you're Pakistani Canadian. And then I'm like, I'm a confused human being is what I am right now. Because you're trying to, I mean, it's also great that you have this opportunity to take the best from both sides. But this I say now, when I'm living in Poland, which is also a third country. So yeah, it's an interesting journey to grow up, in between very different cultures
A bit of a
and also countries, and then
I think it's a bit of an identity crisis to some point as well. We know some other children as well who are like Iranian German or German Iranian, and we've talked about it as well, like over family gatherings, and we realized we went through a similar experience actually, and we're all a bit like confused about things, So yeah, I really feel you there.
Yeah, but I think it's also great because I think in the end of the day that allowed us to be where we are today, in essence, and be who we are today. Oh, and one question that I was pondering over for myself, but also while I was preparing to talk to you, so it came up, and like looking at your journey, what advice, if any, would you give to your younger self from the standpoint of where you are today and what you have gone through in life?
That's a very good one. The first thought that came into my head was relax.
Okay.
But then on second thought, I think I'd just tell my younger self to embrace the journey and do it. Yeah, just do what you feel like. And I think I've been doing that for most of my life. So I don't really have regrets, let's say. I would probably do it all over again like this. And knowing what I know now, I think it wouldn't serve the younger self necessarily. But I would just tell them to relax a little bit, because I'm very impatient still to this day, and I try to push things forward. Even now that I'm working on myself, like it's a reflective journey that also takes time. Like things just take time. And a lot of times still I'm trying to skip some steps or like move faster than I should. So I would tell them to embrace the journey and relax.
Yeah. I mean, love it. Love it. If you like, I also think that it's, I do the same thing all over again, even knowing, the things that might not serve you anymore. But then understanding that everything is happening for you, like to be where you are and to get where you need to be, even if you don't want to be there, but that's where you need to be to grow into the person, that you desire to be. Like, I've recently started reading a lot of books by this writer called Brianna Weist, and one of her books that I'm reading now is called The Pivot Year. And one, like, I'm just paraphrasing here, but one thing she mentions about being impatient, because I am the same. I think I've been forced to be patient now, like with everything in life. Like, you just need to be. That's your only job right now, is just to be. And she says, like, change is like change of seasons. Like, you don't realize it in the beginning, but then all of a sudden it's there, and you're standing in the midst of everything that you feared you would miss, but it's already moved past you. And I was like, well, that's exactly how it feels like. And the only power you have is like looking at it from hindsight and then seeing like, oh, maybe I could have done this and this, but I think the power is only in the present moment, and making sure how we can take the full advantage of that.
Yeah. But fully agree.
Yeah,
I think we've also talked about this in one of our calls, maybe about this turtle, the Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah,
like the present is a gift.
Yeah, the present is a gift. Like you I think you watch those things, and then in the moment, if you're not there, I strongly believe now, like if you're not there on your personal journey or transformation or self-improvement, you just brush it aside and you're like, okay, well, cool quote. But if you start really looking deeper into it, then you're like, okay, they're probably onto something there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm like super happy that now, like, it seems like there's a bit of a trend towards becoming more spiritual, more in touch with yourself, more reflective. Like, people are going more to therapy, and like it seems like the topic of mental health is also, or self-development, growth, personal growth is just becoming more present nowadays. Like, that's my feeling and understanding of it. It's not where it should be by all means, but I think there's a positive
Yeah.
trend, and yeah. Also, having listened to your last couple of episodes, I feel like there's also a positive trend there in that sense. You also think about these things, which I think is super valuable. Yeah.
I mean, I'm super happy that you decided to start it as well, and I really want to talk about it. Uh, and I think I 100% also agree with you. Like, it's still not there because I feel, uh, depending on the culture that you're raised in, there are still a lot of barriers because maybe we are in the West, so it's much more open for us to easily talk about it, and we're like, oh, or maybe because of our family, that matters a lot as well, like how our family's conversations are, that we can easily talk about this now. But I remember even a few years ago in my own journey, I was very afraid to talk about it, about depression, about how I was feeling, because I felt that's kind of unmasculine of me, or if that is a word, whether that like takes away from my power as a man, and I'm not supposed to do it. Uh, but that is that's complete bullshit. You need to ask for help if if you require it, and then you realize there's so many people that are going through the same thing. Uh, that regardless of where you are in the world, there are many people that can relate to it, and there are many professionals who can help you get over it. And if you have that support, that can actually save your life as well if it gets to that point. Yeah. Uh, so sorry, what are you saying?
I think I just no, I think that indeed, like, the support is super important, and I think even if you don't have that support right now, I think you can find it and get it, by just, because everyone has these type of things they're going through in life, and everyone has their demons. I think
Yeah.
you can just, even if you say like, I'm alone, I don't have a support system, you can just start by talking to someone. It may be a stranger.
Yeah.
Because also, even if they're not really in the space to talk to you in that moment, it's fine because it was just a stranger, But even calling a helpline, or I don't know, listen to a podcast that talks about these type of things, can make you feel less alone, and that's like one of the reasons why we started our podcast as well.
Yeah. So what was the journey for you? Getting into law, then getting into I think you were working for Lapaya Learning. If correct me if I'm wrong. And you got into the learning space, and then you went into coaching, and then you went into marketing now, and now you're into podcasting. So can you take us through how that transpired?
You're really hitting the spots here. Yeah. So, the law decision, that was mainly just because of other people, to be honest. So I knew I wanted to study in English. I wanted to study abroad in an international university. That was all the case in Maastricht, which is where I then ended up studying. And I realized throughout my studies, and then also actually thanks to Isaac, which is a great platform to develop yourself and figure out what you actually want to do with life, I realized that law is not really for me, because when I started, I mainly did it because people were telling me, oh yeah, you're really good at arguing your way out of things, out of situations, Like, when I was a little child, I remember arguing with our neighbor's mom about something her children did that I instructed to do or something, and then she was like picking a fight with an 8-year-old, and I just told her, look, your kid's your responsibility. Like, I don't know, I was 8 years old, but these type of situations, apparently I could really talk myself out of things a lot of times. And then my parents, or also lots of family members, told me like, yeah, you should become a lawyer, because that skill is really important for a lawyer. I think that's one of the advice that I would give is, don't listen to others people's advice all the time, because yeah, right now I said it before, like I would do everything the same because it led me to be where I am today. So it did serve something, but I think, I was not really passionate about the law and being a lawyer and the kind of opportunities that we in such a profession. So I went a bit sideways. I spent a lot of time in ISEC, started like going to a lot of conferences, to workshops, and providing these conferences and workshops myself, training, coaching others. And so when I finished my experience there, I also through a friend of mine who was at ISEC with me, found out about Lipaya, which at the time was a really small startup. They had just started. They were developing, or they're still developing, learning programs for other companies where they can really improve their soft skills, but also hard skills. And I was doing, developing those learning journeys. At the same time, I was also doing business development for one. So selling them to up and coming scale ups in the Netherlands. That was a fun experience. At the same time, I realized, okay, my focus was more on the sales part. I really enjoyed the organizing of these workshops and learning journeys. So I got more energy from that, but that was also not really it. And then I got approached by this marketing agency, which was looking for a team lead for the German team to basically fix the German team, because they heard of my team management or coaching skills that I had gained in ISEC. And they said, okay, come here, become a team lead and fix the team because the dynamics, everything's broken. That's how I ended up working for a marketing company. And then I started learning about websites, SEO, ad campaigns, etc., just like on the side while actually managing the German operations team there. And that's how I ended up in marketing. So it's circumstantial, I would say. And but I really enjoy it. I love talking. So I love talking about things I'm passionate about, things I believe in. So marketing is something that also really bodes well with me and my personality, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. So, and then why the podcast, and then why specifically on men's health? Because what do you think or believe is missing from our conversation surrounding men's health today? So there's 3 questions there. I should have phrased it better. There's 3 questions. Why did you start a podcast on men's health? And then what do you believe is missing from our conversation surrounding men's health in the world today? Or maybe 2 questions.
All right. So, when I think of this podcast, so I think I've been looking for these deeper connections with friends for a while. And I have a really good support system of friends of mine who I can be real with and honest with and just be vulnerable and talk about my feelings, my emotions. I can cry with them. I can laugh with them. Let me go even one step back. So this is a moment that keeps coming back in my head, but I was hosting a conference for ISEC in Czech a few years ago. And when I'm a speaker or a host, I'm always it's really important to me to create a safe space, a place where people can be themselves and also be open and share, similar to what I do with my friends. And after 2 days in one of the sharing spaces, this one guy stood up and he was tearing up, and he was telling that for the first time in his life, he felt safe to be himself, to talk about his feelings, and that he grew up in a family where he has to be strong, and you're a man and you shouldn't cry. You should keep all that in because you're strong, and that's what a man is, basically. So with this really broken or outdated definition of man, what a man is, and that moment keeps coming back in my head when I also think about this podcast, because I feel like I want to create together with my partner Suresh, we want to create this safe space for other people that and other men that they can really feel okay, we don't have to adhere to the rules of being a man. It's okay in the 21st century to also have feelings, cry, talk about it, open up about it to your friends. In the end, I feel like if we open up about these type of things and they're out there, then we can only feel more free because they're out there now. Now it's out. It cannot hurt you anymore because it's already out in the world. Even if just one people know about it. So yeah, that was one of the reasons to start this podcast, to provide a safe space for men to be themselves, to feel not alone, to feel that there's others who are also struggling or going through things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to really just provide this safe space to them, and yeah, open the conversation, because I think what is missing is actually the conversation. And maybe that's me being impatient and pushing things forward by making a podcast about it. But I truly feel like we can play an important role here, because I've been talking about these issues with my support system for a while, and it's been so freeing and such a great experience for me in the long run. Made me a better person, got me to where I am today. And I just want to, provide that opportunity to every man out there, wherever they are, in whatever circumstances they are. And with Surush, he was my friend, and we started the podcast together. We're both really passionate about this, and he also felt this need for connecting with the world in that way. And we both wanted to really open up and be vulnerable about our own experiences in life and our own struggles as well, which is a really big challenge actually, when you know you're talking to the world all of a sudden. So, and then at some point we just said, okay, why don't we start recording these conversations? And then that's how the idea of the podcast was.
That's amazing, man. I think that's very valuable, and you're adding a lot of value, because you never know who would be listening to one of your conversations, and then that would be so beneficial for them that they, kind of alter their life's path in a way. And that's one of the most powerful things you can do. And I like, that's pretty great that you're able to create a safe space within environments that people are able to be themselves, because it's not an easy thing to do, I think. And as that guy was saying as well, I think there's so many different perceived perceptions of masculinity. Like every person you would talk to, they would have a different perception because of their background, because of their family, culture, religion, how many whatever points you can raise. And then in the end of the day, the only thing that helps is talking about it, which is quite simple, but also the most difficult, is because I think it deals with vulnerability. And I really love this. I don't know if you've read Brene Brown or watched any of her TED Talks. She talks a lot about differentiating between shame and vulnerability, because a lot of people don't share or be vulnerable because they feel it's shame or it's guilt. And it you have to overcome that to create deeper connections, I think, with yourself. Because initially, at least in my experience, I was not being vulnerable with myself, and not doing service to myself, I would say, by not sharing. So I think it begs the bigger question of being vulnerable with the world. And I think as you're on this journey now, you'll just start becoming more and more vulnerable, and maybe a little less impatient.
No, I feel
how you feel what?
Leo, and everything you just said. Like, I think actually vulnerability starts with yourself, and that's also how it started for me. I was really vulnerable with myself, and then I open up to others about it, and then you can open up to the world about it. And I think this podcast now is me trying to open up to the world about it, an attempt to that.
And I think people really, like, it's very underrated that people value good and honest conversations, because I don't think there are many out there, or maybe it's just not the ones that I'm listening to. But at least the ones that I come across, there are very few podcasts that are very open and very, like, from the heart, so as to say. And I feel like as a human being, when you're doing that, people are surprised positively, because not many people do that. Like, not many people are just honest and wholeheartedly talking about what other people can connect to. And I think that connection, regardless of if it's in the audio format or if it's someone you never know about, that is what matters the most, in a way. It's a tough journey. I think we are talking about it quite nonchalantly right now, but it's a pretty tough journey, and I think it's a very personal journey for each person. And you really need to sit with so as to say, your perceived demons inside you. And once like you said, like once you do that, then they just disappear because you've been running away from it for so long.
Yeah.
That is not that big.
Yeah, or you just or you just take the necessary steps to work with them, because sometimes they don't just disappear. Like I'm also now in therapy actually for the first time, and with all the stuff they say about therapy, I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I've heard a lot of like negative talk about therapy as well. Like you have problems, why do you need help? Like we can fix this ourselves.
Yeah.
But going through therapy, and I've only been to a couple of sessions so far, I really feel like I can now like work on these type of demons in a structured way and address them in a healthy way, like with someone who's been like working on these type of issues every day. So yeah, I can also really recommend that to anyone actually nowadays. Go to therapy, see what it can bring you. I mean, you can't lose anything.
Yeah, I think everyone should go to therapy. 100%. I agree. Even with the work that you do on yourself, I think therapy just enhances all of that.
Yeah.
I've been to therapy some years ago. I really needed it, and I thought I didn't. But as you were saying, there is still a certain negative association placed with therapy. If you tell someone that I go to therapy, they're like, maybe there's something really wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I think the people who say that are the people who need therapy the most.
What are you scared of therapy, man?
Yeah, exactly. What are you hiding, bro? Like, what is this insecurity? What is it coming from?
Yeah, agree, 100%.
Yeah, but it's yeah, I think therapy is pretty, like I had a guest on my podcast who's a psychotherapist from Canada, and the way he was describing, small general interactions of, like, of course he didn't share any specifics, like he can't share them, but certain scenarios of people, how they've been together for like years, and then how things start falling apart because of small things and misunderstandings, and because they are not addressed, as you said, in a healthy way, they just keep on building up and up and up until the point that the two people can't even recognize each other. But they didn't intervene in time, like from with the therapist or even themselves, like just sitting down and talking about it in a healthy way. So I think definitely therapy is something that shines a light on a lot of things. And I think a lot of, at least for me, it taught me a lot of the overthinking I was doing and making scenarios in my mind by myself. There are scenarios that did not exist at all. And then you're like, oh shit, that was all a lie I was telling myself, just to, in a way, to protect myself from whatever is out there, because that's a side of you. That's a part of you as well. Like you said, like you need to sit with it and accept it and appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate the highs and the lows, because the lows will just lead you to the next high, I would say.
Yeah, man. I think I've started to understand, like, you learn more about yourself in the lows than in the highs.
That's true.
You grow more in the lows than if you take the time to do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's more to appreciate and just be like. I think that's something also, like I actually just talked about this with my brother last night, that I think a lot of times we don't even realize how happy we could be, or like how amazing the present moment is. And we just look at the next, like we're just, let's say, like we're kind of drifting a bit through life. We wake up, we go to work, we come home, we cook dinner, we watch Netflix, we go to bed, but not realizing that we have everything we could ask for in life. And we have so many reasons to be happy. Like, is that good friends, the good food, that we're able to sit down on the couch, watch a good movie, or just spend good company with someone. Yeah, a lot of things that while you're happy, you're a lot of times not recognizing how happy you are actually. And then when you're sad, you're very sad. Like that one, you're feeling like really hard, and then that overthinking starts, and then was an interesting conversation. I'm still reflecting on it a bit and what to take from it. But that was one thought I just said.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I 100% agree with you. Like, it's weird. Like, I was thinking about it the other day as well, that why is it that, at least for me, I was always focusing on the negative things or on things going wrong instead of focusing on the things that are going right, and just, expanding that energy and expanding that love and abundance, because there's a lot of things going right in our lives if we only give, like, whatever we give attention to is what we think the most. So if you're only thinking about things that are not going right, of course you will feel like everything is going wrong.
Yeah.
So but that comes with practice. I think that comes with changing your mindset. It's a lot of work, worthwhile, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, like what helped me as well is sometimes to just sit and breathe. Like here in Amsterdam, we have a lot of nice little rivers and like lots of great parks. So like just, for example, I'm biking home from somewhere and I see a nice spot, and then I don't know, I just sit down and breathe for a while and just take in my surroundings and appreciate my life or like my journey. Be a bit more conscious about those things as well. Like sometimes press pause, enjoy the moment, and then move to the next thing. I think something that really works for me.
Yeah, I'm learning about this Italian concept of, I think, dolce far niente. It's like the art of doing nothing.
Yeah, it's so hard for some people, man.
It's very hard for me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm learning about it.
Like, I feel guilty when I'm not doing anything, and I know, like, for example, my parents, they have no chill. They're always working. They're always doing something. I mean, like, I think I've also maybe taken something from that, and I think also that whole generation. But also now, like, I feel guilty sometimes when I sleep in, or when I don't do something, or when I wasted time. Let's say.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to appreciate those moments actually way more, because I was able to chill and relax, and it's good to take time. So.
Yeah, I think recently I'm still going through an experience, and then I realized that to kind of get a better perspective, you do need to do nothing, and just because that just lets your thoughts freely flow without me trying to point at every one of them and saying, why is this there? Why is this there? Why is this there? And this brings me to the next question.
Nice.
Of my own experience as well. Like, I'm talking about experience of love in our life, and love has many shapes and forms. But how do you define love?
That's actually also a very good question, and something like I've recently read a book that really helped me find that out for myself, because I don't think I actually had a proper definition for what love is for me.
Okay.
The book from Jay Shetty, 8 Rules of Love. And in that, first of all, he says everyone should make their own definition of love, and just be aware of that, because a lot of times we just think, oh, that is love, or this is love, based on movies we've seen as kids, or stories we've heard, which is not really realistic, because you only see a snapshot of 90 minutes of an experience that obviously has a happy ending at the end. But love can have so many different forms and shapes. And with this book, I was able to really define love for myself, I think. And for me now, love is, first of all, I think love is not only between you and a person. Love is in everything you do, or you can put love into anything you do. You can bring love to the workspace. You can bring love to your friends. You can bring love to your family, to people that you meet in the subway. You can just be loving. And then if you're asking about like love as a partnership or relationship, I would say that it's the conscious decision that I want to grow together with this amazing human being that I appreciate for all that they have and all that they give. And just that, I think, like, just this decision that I want to grow with this person, and we'll be on our individual journeys of personal growth, and we'll be side by side supporting each other on our individual journeys, and like going through it together, but individually. So it's a supportive and not a codependent kind of relationship. I think that's that's how I define love for myself now. And also a really interesting exercise that was part of this whole book journey that I want to share is, make a list of all the things you love, all the things you are looking for in a partner, and then become that list yourself, because then you can stop looking for things to fulfill you, because you already fulfill yourself. And then that partner can just be by your side in the way, like in a supportive way, and you can go enjoy life together side by side, and just make the happiness that you already have inside, the love that you already have inside, and just make it bigger by doing it together. I think this is the first time someone actually asked me for my definition of love, but I think I was able to find the right words.
You put it quite well, and I love this. I think you shared this book with me as well in one of our calls. I read like a sample of it, and it's quite powerful. I like how he separates it into different kinds of love, and then this overall love that you should have. I mean, just for life in general, and for everyone you interact. Might that be plants, animals, people, whoever. And this exercise is pretty cool. Make a list of what you want from a partner, and then become that person. And I think it's really, because no one can come and plug in holes that you've created for yourself inside you. They can only come and support you to be and grow in that journey as it should be, if two people are agreeing to do that. But yeah,
and I think there's I think it's so unfair also to have a list in your head and then like kind of check things off for a certain person. Everyone is different, and everyone brings different qualities. Some qualities that someone brings to your life, maybe you have never even experienced those things, and they actually really they could really help you grow as well in that way. Or new things about the world, or about yourself, about others. So I think if you just give yourself the things that you need to be fulfilled, then you can go and look at these relationships in a much more healthy way.
And I think then you're more open to having new things as well, because you're so at peace and secure with yourself that you're not mindlessly chasing anything that remotely feels attractive to you. Might that be in friendships, might that be in relationships or anything. You're not just running after people because you're not insecure of you're not looking for others to fill that void for you. Deep conversation.
I love it how it is. I love the level of depth that we go into every time we talk. It's incredible.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I really liked about Jay Shetty, like in one of his podcasts as well, he was saying that the concept that you're looking for a perfect person does not exist. Even you're not perfect yourself. So like no one is gonna come fully formed, as you wish. Like two people have to make that commitment that okay, we're gonna grow this love, and we're gonna again, I'm just specifically talking relationships, but I think that I had that concept before that, I am not ready to be in a relationship because I'm not perfect, or I'm not worth it, or I'm not doing these things. But later realizing how naive that idea is, or like how much of that was built on everything that I perceived from outside of myself. So it's like just make sure that you're good enough for yourself first.
And perfection is such a thing as well, I feel, in our generation maybe, but maybe just for everyone. The thing is that perfection is so unhealthy, like you will never get to perfect. And this is also in life. You'll never be perfect either. Like, I think that's also the beauty of life. Like now when I look at it, like I was a firstborn child and I was always trying to like fit the expectations of my parents and like be the poster child or something like that. But now I realize that perfect is not achievable, and that's the beauty of life, because you can keep growing until the end, you know, and maybe further.
Yeah.
So yeah, growth is the goal, not perfection. Let's say, for me.
I really love. I think you hit it on the spot. I love one of Matthew McConaughey's speech where he is like accepting an award, and he's like, I'm always chasing a person 10 years ahead of me, and that is my future self. And then when I get there, then I'm chasing another person 10 years ahead of me, that is my other future self. But the point is, I will never get to that person, you know? So that's the point. Like, you will keep on growing until in the end, when you realize you form your own meaning for a life well lived. And that brings me now. So I ask every guest to leave a question for the next guest. And for you, the question I would ask is, what does a life well lived mean to you right now?
Wow. Interesting. I thought, like, I listened to the last podcast episode and I didn't find a question at the end. So I was like, all right, cool. No question for me. So I'm truly not well prepared for this one. But what is a life well lived for me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think I got this from one of the early influencers I really followed and loved at the time, and still do. Also, the way he's like developing from the point he started from and where he is now, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
And he said, if you need motivation, go to an elderly home, because the worst thing is if you talk to an elderly person and they have regrets about their life. So
yeah.
I think a life well lived is when I'm at the end of my life, just to look back and have no regrets, not wanting to do anything over, not feeling that I missed out on anything. And so, yeah, now I'm in the present, so I have power over it. So I'll do everything I can to, do the things that I want to do in life, get the kind of relationships I want, have these kind of moments of connection with the world, with nature, with friends, with you right now. I think, a life where I don't have any regrets after it or at the end of it.
Amazing. I think that sounds pretty well lived. When you've done everything that you want to do. And with that, thank you so much, Dennis, for being with me. And for our listeners, whoever is listening, I hope this podcast would bring you some value as you listen to it through your day. And thank you so much. Have a great day.